As of recording this late on Sunday night, latest reports are that big Ange Postecoglou is about to be sacked as manager of Tottenham Hotspur and most likely replaced by Brentford's Thomas Frank. How do you feel about that? These reports are by no means set in stone as I record, but looking more and more likely as time goes on, and it would not surprise me at all if by the time you're watching this video on Monday morning, Spurs may have even released the standard club announcement tweet to tell us all about the sacking. Meanwhile, Spurs' transfer business does seem to be getting started, with links once again to Eberechi Eze and some journalists suggesting that we have nudged ahead in the chase for Bayern Munich's Leroy Sané, as well as many more exciting talent links. I'll be discussing Ange, all the transfer rumours and other Premier League transfer talk on today's edition of Daily Premier League Transfer News. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please do press like on this video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber for daily Premier League transfer news, always starting with my team, Tottenham Hotspur. And it's not really a transfer where I'm going to start. It's with the managerial situation. The Don, Fabrizio Romano, said as of Sunday evening, Tottenham are to make a decision on Ange Postecoglou in the next hours. Spurs are considering their options. Paul O'Keefe, also a very reputable journalist on all things Tottenham Hotspur, says that no official communication has been made to the coaching staff at Tottenham, as he wrote that on Sunday evening. But Daniel Levy has made a decision. What decision that is, Paul O'Keefe says, is debatable. Reports on Sunday lunchtime a few hours ago suggested that Spurs have decided to sack Ange Postecoglou. The club now pressing ahead with finding a new manager, and it's expected they will formally announce the departure of Postecoglou in the next few days. That's according to Football Insider. And then, just to confuse things even more, Saturday afternoon, so yesterday afternoon as I'm recording this, it was said by Damasio, another reputable journalist, that that in the last few hours the possibility of Ange Postecoglou staying at Tottenham had grown. And Mike McGrath, as well on Saturday, said Ange's future is set to be decided this coming week, with sources viewing his position as under extreme risk, despite winning that Europa League. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I said this in a TikTok video I did a few days ago, I'm pretty sure that what Levy has been doing is trying to let the dust settle on the Europa League victory so that Spurs' hearts, or Spurs fans' hearts, would no longer rule their heads. And I have to say, in my opinion, based on all of the podcasts I've been listening to, all of the Tottenham TikTok accounts that I watch, etc., I do feel like the Spurs fan base hearts situation, by which I mean with Ange having won us that trophy, all of our hearts, I think, were saying to us, you've got to keep him, you've got to give him another chance, you've got to understand that all of the cons outweighed the pros in terms of the league situation last year, and that's why, with the injuries and the Europa League to concentrate on, that's why the league situation was so bad. We all felt that maybe after that win it was worth sticking with him. However, I think what Levy has done is almost quite clever, is that he's let the dust settle so that suddenly, over the course of this last 10 days, our heads are starting to come back into the equation. And we're now remembering how painful it has been to lose 22 times in the Premier League, and how something really probably does need to change. And really, it's not just about this season's Premier League form. It's been 18 months of poor Premier League form. And that is probably why it looks to me very much like Daniel Levy is going to pull the plug on Ange Postecoglou's tenure at Tottenham Hotspur. Mike McGrath also said in his article that Thomas Frank is one manager who will be in the frame. And according to some other reputable reports, Thomas Frank has had direct contact with Spurs this week and done a presentation as to why he thinks he would be good as Tottenham Hotspur manager. I did say soon after Tottenham won the Europa League that I felt if Daniel Levy sacked Ange Postecoglou and replaced him with someone of the ilk of Thomas Frank or Marco Silva, maybe even Andrea Iraola, then that would be very underwhelming to Spurs fans. Now, that's not to say that I don't think a lot of Thomas Frank. I do like the way that he changes things based on the opponents he's playing against. He's clearly tactically very sound. I've seen enough coming out of the dressing room on Brentford social media to suggest that he gets players on side. He knows how to deal with players. He's an excellent man manager. However, he will be coming into a club, if he were to become manager of Tottenham Hotspur, where egos will be bigger than anything he has ever dealt with before. And you have to ask the question, if he were to walk in, Thomas Frank, as manager of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, how would those players react? They clearly have a bond with Ange Postecoglou. They clearly played for him throughout. And they clearly, according to a lot of reports, wanted him to stay. And a manager will come in who has never managed a club bigger than Brentford. No shade on Brentford. They've done brilliantly in the last few years. But will those players with big egos and big paychecks be willing to give him a chance? I think he'll have some winning over of those players to do, especially the likes of Christian Romero, who, if any reports are to be believed, has already stated that if Ange Postecoglou were to lose his job, then he would be keen to follow him out of the door. Let me know in the comments what you think of these reports. Like I said in the opening, there is a chance that by the time you're watching this, Ange may have already been shown the door by Tottenham Hotspur. It strikes me that more often than not, Daniel Levy does tend to do these announcements on a Monday morning. So that is very possible. I'm going to release this first thing on Monday morning. So I don't know, it may even happen whilst you're watching this, or I may get it completely wrong. I do not know. But even if it has happened, please do keep watching, because I'm now going to go into some of the Tottenham Hotspur and wider-ranging Premier League transfer news. The transfer window is now officially open, this first 10-day window. So teams can get players in for the Club World Cup. Then it will shut for about 20 days, I think, 15 to 20 days. And then it will open proper for the summer again. And as of Saturday, Spurs apparently reportedly now increasingly confident of signing Leroy Sané. Pini Zahavi is his agent, and apparently he wants him to go to Tottenham Hotspur. He's very close with Daniel Levy, apparently, Pini Zahavi. Leroy Sané is 29 years old, obviously used to play for Man City before going to Bayern Munich. He's won it all domestically in both countries, and he is a brilliant wide forward. But I am still reticent about signing these big players who've already had their big money moves, who've already been on 250 grand a week or so, and will not be able to be on that kind of money at Tottenham Hotspur. I do not want us to accept into the group players who are just there for a money move. I would actually rather, and I know some of you will probably disagree with me, but I would rather we go for young, exciting talent akin to Lucas Bergvall, who clearly show their hunger and clearly want it. That doesn't mean that I don't want us to get some oven-ready players, the likes of Eberechi Eze, who I'll talk about. Yes, that would be ideal, and a few of those, but I just wonder whether Leroy Sané, if he's choosing to leave Bayern Munich to come to Tottenham Hotspur, I do not understand the mentality of that. And that's no shade on Tottenham Hotspur as a club. Of course, we are in the Champions League now, but I don't know. I really don't know. Let me know what you think, as I said. Some reports as well today that Mark Gahey, who Tottenham are still interested in, does not want to join the club. And as a result, Spurs have moved their interest on to Jared Branthwaite as Everton. He is another defender that Spurs are now considering, alongside Tottenham retaining interest in AC Milan and former Chelsea player Fikayo Tomori. Spurs do want to sign a left-sided centre-back this summer, presumably as challenging for squad places and for league places with Mickey van der Ven, not really fully trusting that Mickey van der Ven will be able to play a minimum of 38 games in the league. So that really would make sense. I like Fikayo Tomori, but all things considered, back in January when Tottenham were going for a centre-back, they looked at Mark Gahey and put in a bid there. Tomori then said in January, that he wanted to stay at AC Milan. So I'm not sure if that's one that is likely to happen either. Also, I just don't know how it's going to work that players would sign for Spurs right now if the managerial situation is up in the air. They have to sort that out first. And I have to say, I look at Daniel Levy again, optically. And I've always said that Daniel Levy does continue to make mistake after mistake in terms of optics. To have waited 10 days to give any clarity about the managerial situation, and maybe even longer, is a mistake. We are missing out on players to other clubs. Man United signed Cunha today. Chelsea are pressing ahead with the Liam Delap move. That's happening. And I just think the lack of clarity cannot be helping Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. Meanwhile, Christopher Nkunku will leave Chelsea this summer. He's an incredibly talented forward. I don't really understand why it hasn't worked out for him at Chelsea. And Tottenham have apparently made an inquiry over the 27-year-old's availability. Now, of course, we know Tottenham and Chelsea do not really do direct transfer business with each other, certainly not regularly. But Nkunku is a player that I really rate. He reminds me of Jermaine Defoe, but a bit more filled out. And in terms of players who can play across that front line and maybe really push on Tottenham then I would be looking at him. But again, I don't know how realistic it is, especially when we don't have the manager sorted out for sure at the moment, and with us unlikely to do business with Chelsea. Tottenham are alongside Newcastle and Arsenal in being interested in Bradley Barcola from PSG, who apparently would be willing to sell him for around £42 million. He came on in the Champions League final at PSG, where they absolutely dominated Inter Milan, beat them 5-0, which, by the way, whilst I'm talking about that, there were some reports that Tottenham had talked to Simone Inzaghi, the Inter Milan manager, prior to that Champions League final about potentially taking over the manager's job. How would that 5-0 affect your keenness to take someone like Simone Inzaghi as our manager? I remember when many years back when Frank Arneson became our sporting director and we appointed Jack Santini, the French national manager, before the Euros in 2004, if memory serves me right. And France then had an appalling Euros. He'd already accepted the job as Spurs manager, but he wasn't going to start until after those Euros. And then in those Euros, France had an appalling one, got knocked out incredibly cheaply. I'm pretty sure it was Euro 2004. I don't think it was the World Cup 2002, but correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, then Santini came to Spurs almost as a bit of a busted flush. Now, Simone Inzaghi has done an amazing job at Inter, got them to 2 European Champions League finals in 3 years, but they were absolutely tactically outclassed by a very good PSG side. And therefore, I do think there would probably be some fears among the fan base if we were to try and get Simone Inzaghi, although he is more linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. But if we were to get him, and then his first competitive game would be against PSG again in the European Super Cup final on August the 13th in Italy. Okay, more Tottenham transfer rumours. We are interested apparently in signing Magnez Akluche from Monaco and have already held talks with the talented Frenchman. Now some rumours of potential outs. Son Heung-min is being chased by clubs in Saudi Arabia. Spurs apparently would be willing to sell if it was a massive bid. He only has 1 year left on his deal. Would you be willing to let Son Heung-min go now that he's lifted a trophy? Let me know in the comments where you stand on Sonny. I think for me, if it was a massive bid and Sonny wanted to go, then yes, absolutely, I would let him go with my blessings. He is a club legend and will be forevermore. But if it's not a bid that suits Tottenham Hotspur business-wise, then I think he still makes an excellent option for us and a great captain. Reports from Manchester City that their young talent James McAtee is set to leave, potentially for £25 million this summer, and that Tottenham are amongst the clubs interested in McAtee. Meanwhile, alongside Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal, Spurs have apparently been monitoring Yankuba Minta's progress at Brighton since he joined them from Newcastle last summer. He did play really beautifully against Spurs. He is a pace merchant, absolute jet-heeled winger, and Spurs should be looking for more pace this summer as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure you read it back end of last week. The Kevin Danso loan deal has triggered the obligation to buy £25 million total. I think Danso is a good signing for Spurs at €25 million. And I'm pretty happy that that has been done. Now, in terms of Christian Romero's future at Spurs, as I mentioned earlier, some of the reports coming out from journalists said this: if Postecoglou stays, QT won't leave. But if there's a change of coach, QT will do everything possible to leave. Daniel Levy has to be thinking about that when making a managerial decision. It's a no-brainer, I think, to keep QT Romero if he wants to stay and build a team around him. I said in a TikTok video, and it got me a lot of angst from a lot of Son Heung-min fans, that I wouldn't be afraid of giving QT Romero the captain's armband, because I think he's one of the kind of players who would absolutely grow and be inspired and want to lead us to something huge if we did that. I don't know if you've seen, guys, the trailer to the Tottenham documentary that they're releasing in the next few days about our season leading to that Europa League win, but some of the quotes have come out in the trailer from what Ange Postecoglou said in the pre-game before that final. He said, "They can't stop us. They can't stop us. What we have cannot be stopped. At the end of the game, when Sonny is lifting that trophy, you're going to make all of those people, meaning the fans, prouder than they have ever been in their life. Let's go, boys." That is the kind of orator that Ange Postecoglou is. And he knew how to get that group, a failing group, frankly, in the league, to cross that white line and do it in the biggest game. And we have to think about that when we think about replacing him. That is not easy. And if Ange is given another chance and able to, change his what the players are looking to do this season and change it to a league thing now, then I think Spurs players would back him. And I do think, my personal opinion is that we should stick with him. But like I said at the opening, it's looking very unlikely. Meanwhile, Wrexham have opened talks to sign Ben Davies. They are now in the Championship, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's team. And they're working on a deal to land the 32-year-old Wales international on free transfer. Again, if Ben Davies wants to leave and wants to go to Wrexham, then I'll let him. I haven't done a video, guys, since it had been revealed that Johnny Cardoso has apparently turned down a move to Spurs because he wants to join Atletico Madrid. That will mean, if that happens, that Real Betis would have to pay Tottenham some money. I think around between £5 and £10 million, something like that. Rosario Central are beginning working on a deal for Alejo Valise. He apparently is the number 9 they've been dreaming of. Valise, it hasn't worked out, that signing. So I think if we can just get some money back for him, I think we paid maybe between £9 and £11 million for him. Let's just try and get some money back for him. I mentioned Mark Gahey earlier. Apparently Bayern Munich are in talks with him, so that might be one of the reasons why he doesn't want to join Spurs. Tyler Dibbling, who's been on Tottenham's list for a long time now, certainly we were big in for him in January. He is available for £55 million from Southampton. I'll tell you now, nobody's going to pay £55 million for him, but if we can get him for £25, £30 million, that might be an exciting signing for the future. He reminds me of a young Chris Waddle. Brian Hill and Manor Solomon have been told to find a move to a club away from Spurs after returning from their loan spells. Pretty sure Manor Solomon will end up at Leeds. We might be able to get a decent fee for them. I'm sure you know now Fraser Forster, Alfie Whiteman and Sergio Reguilon are leaving Spurs. In fact, have been released. Good luck to them. Guillermo Vicario withdrew from the Italian national team due to injury. I don't mind that. Just have a rest, mate. I haven't done a video since those Jose Mourinho quotes came out. He said this about Spurs winning the Europa League. Tottenham played Champions League, and of course for Mr. Levy, the millions the Champions League gives for him, it's the best news for the fans, the players and Ange. It's a title. Little dig on Daniel Levy there from Jose Mourinho. And just a little report on the injury crisis that Ange did face in this past season. Spurs were among the hardest hit clubs in the Premier League when it came to player availability. Spurs lost a staggering 1,553 player days to injury, more than double Liverpool's total. Only Brighton with 1,944 missed more, whilst Ipswich 1,506 and Arsenal 1,297 also had availability issues. The Athletic also released the list of the most valuable clubs in the world, and Tottenham are in 9th place, valued at £3 billion, just ahead of Chelsea at £2.5 billion and behind Paris Saint-Germain, £3 billion. That was last week, though, and Paris Saint-Germain's value will have steamed up after that Champions League victory. Okay, guys, before I go into some more wide-ranging Premier League transfer news, once again, please do give this video a like if you haven't already. Please do press that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. Daily transfer news from across the Premier League, always starting with my team, Tottenham Hotspur. All right, Liverpool, as you will have seen, have now signed Jeremy Frimpong, and Milos Kerkez from Bournemouth has given the green light on a move to them. Personal terms are not an issue. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. Big potential move to Man City. They're interested in signing Gianluigi Donnarumma from Paris Saint-Germain this summer. Edison has been looking for a move to Saudi for a while. Also, Man City have gazumped Tottenham in terms of going for Ryan Cherki. That is really disappointing because I wanted Spurs to go for Ryan Cherki, and it looks like he will be joining them early next week. Bruno Fernandes at Man United giving serious consideration to going to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. Crazy numbers are being offered for him, about £100 million. As I mentioned earlier, Cunha from Wolves has been announced, and according to Fabrizio Romano, more on Marcus Rashford. He was keen on joining Barcelona in January. It didn't happen, and right now he remains only interested in joining Barcelona. Aston Villa have apparently joined the race to sign Alejandro Garnacho. No reports that Spurs are interested in him, which I'm kind of surprised at because he is a young, exciting talent. Bayer Leverkusen, under his former boss Erik ten Hag, are also looking at him. And Man United and Aston Villa are interested in Lille's 23-year-old French keeper Lucas Chevalier. Villa have apparently put in a bid for him because lots of rumours that Emi Martinez will be leaving. Over to Chelsea, who once again just looking to sign every young player. They are looking at Kobe Mainoo, as well as in concrete talks for Hugo Ekitike from Frankfurt. They are set to opt against signing Jadon Sancho on a permanent deal and will have to pay a £5 million penalty to Manchester United if they do not. Also, Newcastle interested in West Ham's Ghanaian forward Mohamed Kudus. He had a mixed season at West Ham, but he is a real talent, and you could see him playing for Newcastle. They already have a very pacey wide forward line with Anthony Gordon, and you could see him you could see Kudus doing well there. Everton have apparently joined Leeds, wanting Callum Wilson, who's out of contract at Newcastle. Meanwhile, Brentford have had a bid accepted for Liverpool's reserve keeper Kelleher, as Mark Flecken, their keeper, has moved to Bayer Leverkusen. I wonder how the Thomas Frank interest from Spurs will affect that, but it looks like Kelleher is going to Brentford. Meanwhile, Sunderland are interested in re-signing Jordan Henderson. West Ham are keeping track of Ipswich wide man Amari Hudson, who I really like as a player. He ripped Spurs to shreds when he was playing for Ipswich both times this season. I like him. And then down in South London at Woolwich Arsenal, they are in concrete talks now over Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko. Zubimendi has joined Arsenal, and they are also apparently interested in Karam Mitoma from Brighton, as well as Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest, who is also interesting Manchester City. All right, guys, that has been your Monday morning Premier League daily transfer news. Thank you so much for watching. Please do give this video a like. Please do press subscribe. And like I said, this could be very big, busy days for Tottenham Hotspur, as it looks like Ange Postecoglou will be sacked. But if it doesn't happen, and it comes out that Daniel Levy backs him, I have to say I would be happy with that. I think Postecoglou can turn things around, but let me know how you feel in the comments. And let's see what happens. All right, guys, enjoy your Monday. Cheers.